Well, once you get this new crown, you can always use it to make an Ice Betty. I'm just kidding. That would be unethical.
Fionna and Cake's 6th episode is without a doubt the best one so far, and I have a feeling that when the season is over, this will still be the fan favorite, and it's not hard to see why. Both the Winter King and the Candy Queen are pretty captivating characters that harken back to the early days of Adventure Time without straying away from the dark undertones that later seasons were known for. And when I say dark, I really mean dark, because the last few minutes of this episode drop an absolute bombshell on us, revealing that this role reversal between the Winter King and the Candy Queen has been nothing more than a twisted facade. After Fionna mistakenly turns his magic crown into a normal one, the Winter King is stripped of his power, killing him on the spot and reverting the Candy Queen to Princess Bubblegum. And we learn it's because this Simon never truly conquered the crown. He's just been projecting its madness onto Princess Bubblegum, transforming her into this Benel-coated psychopath that I absolutely adore.
So this happens a lot.
Not this part. This is an escalation.
The Winter King isn't the ideal version of Simon that outclasses our depressed goober in every way. He's a narcissistic asshole who lacks all the redeeming qualities our Simon has. But how far did the Simon go to preserve his sanity? How was he able to project his madness onto PB for 100 years unopposed? Well, I think the best answer to that question is another question. Where was Finn and Jake in this universe? And what happened to Marceline? Finn and Jake are nowhere to be seen in this episode, and Marceline is strongly implied to be dead, as there's an ice replica of a young Marceline playing her at space throughout the episode. But we know Marceline got the axe when she was a teenager, so why does this clone have it when she's depicted at a much younger age? And it's not like it's made of ice, this is the real deal. Well, there's two possibilities. Either Marceline got the axe at a much younger age in this universe and died before she became a teenager for whatever reason, or the much darker angle, Marceline in this world had beef with Simon for projecting his madness onto PB, as I think most people would, and instead of coming to his senses, backing down from such a heinous act, the Winter King put Marceline on ice instead. Of course, I don't think any Simon could live with himself if he killed Marcy, so he simply repressed his emotions and created this Ice Marcy, in the form he most fondly remembers, when she was a child being taken care of by him, which is why Ice Marcy has the base. It's from the very real, very dead Marceline, who was struck down by her adoptive father. Now obviously, it's supposed to be up to interpretation, and we'll never really know for sure. But evidently, the Fionna and Cake crew went the extra mile to figure out the lore that's never directly stated in the show itself, like how the baby universe was actually created as a result of BMO's wish to Prismo. And longtime crewmate Steve Wolfhart liked to tweet about this exact theory, so odds are, this is how things shook out. Or at least, it's the interpretation he agrees with the most. Of course, this also means the real Marceline could have just been frozen and is just now being thought out off screen. But the Winter King did offer to make Simon an Ice Betty as a way to cope with her death. So again, I think Marcy being dead at his hands is sadly the most likely outcome. But what about Finn and Jake? This is something that I think is a little more up in the air, as again, they're not mentioned at all in this episode. And the Winter King didn't seem to have a reaction to seeing Fionna and Cake either, despite recognizing Simon as a version of him from another universe. So you think he would have made some sort of expression or alluded to Finn and Jake in some sort of capacity if he knew them. It's also worth mentioning that this take on the Ice Kingdom is a lot different from the one Finn and Jake grew up around. I don't know if there would have been much room for an authentic adventure around here. This Simon being the Winter King for 100 years means that Finn and Jake would have had no idea what really happened to the Candy Queen. They would have just assumed she was a crazy lady, just like how they treated Simon in the beginning of the series. And they would have had no reason to suspect that the Winter King is actually a pretty evil dude. So there's actually a pretty good chance that instead of getting marked by the Winter King, Finn and Jake just don't live here in this universe. They're going on adventures somewhere else anew, blissfully ignorant of what was really going down in these two kingdoms. One thing I'm really glad to see people talk about is the Winter King's response to Betty being the love of Simon's life, simply shrugging it off and saying, "That's not how I remember it." I really wonder if Fionna and Cake will explore the toxic aspects of Simon and Betty's relationship that we tend to overlook. They clearly loved each other, but that doesn't mean the relationship was healthy. In fact, their codependency was pretty bad. And assuming those intense emotions for Betty were lumped into the madness projected onto PB, as she retained the Ice King's obsession towards princesses, thirsting after the Winter King, I think it's possible that this Simon was actually able to recognize the flaws in their relationship. Or he's just a sociopath who only cares about himself. It's one or the other. That's all I really have for this video, but as always, I want to know what you guys think. What were your thoughts on this episode, and what do you think happened to Marceline in this timeline? Also, do you think this timeline was created as a result of Marceline's wish to Prismo, wishing for a universe where Simon wasn't corrupted by the madness? I've seen that idea going around, and I really like it, in a ball my eyes out kind of way. Let me know in the comments down below, and keep the conversation going at AwestruckFox on Twitter and Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, please sort of like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. See ya!